Welcome to Management 102, and we're using a series of exemplary communicators to supplement what we've been going through in our textbook. Today we have Mr. John Weber, who's going to educate us on how we go about effectively communicating messages within the organization. John is a former CEO of CooperVision and is about to embark on a new career as a CEO of another company. So John, welcome to my students.
Good morning, Jerry.
It's good to have you here. Can you give us a little bit of background personally before we get started, and then we'll go into a little bit of background on CooperVision.
Sure. Well, I've spent about 20 years, Jerry, in the contact lens industry. It's been a fantastic ride. Did everything from distribution to president of CooperVision, where I had full responsibility for the entire P&L of CooperVision, and pretty much every job in between. So a little bit of sales and marketing, a little bit of manufacturing. Well-rounded background in all the different things and all the different aspects that go into running a company.
Well, that's helpful. One of the things that you and I have talked about in our conversations is how in education we tend to put students into very narrow boxes, and we educate them in marketing or finance or whatever. And in leadership roles, it really is cross-discipline. So thank you for that.
Right.
A little bit about CooperVision. That's sort of a company that nobody knows about, but everybody sees, no pun intended.
Right.
Can you share a little bit about the company?
Yeah, well, we don't want you to see CooperVision.
That's
We'd
right.
like you to see other things through CooperVision lenses. So CooperVision is a manufacturer and seller of contact lenses. It sells on a global basis. We sell contact lenses to over 90 countries. We have direct presences in over 40 countries. We manufacture out of the UK and Puerto Rico and the United States in upstate New York. About 7,000 employees. Our revenue is about $1.3 billion a year, and we're actually the largest division of a publicly traded company called the Cooper Companies, which trades on the New York Stock Exchange.
So you have challenges, it sounds like, very global in nature when it comes to getting everybody aligned. So when you took over the company, what was the challenge that you saw that caused you to start this internal and external branding initiative?
Right, well, there are really three things, and I guess probably the order of priority I'll take them in. The first thing is, internally, CooperVision is really built on a series of acquisitions. And the latest acquisition that happened in 2008, CooperVision acquired a company called Ocular Sciences. And so what we had was a bunch of folks from a bunch of companies coming together, and we all knew what we were trying to accomplish, but we weren't always speaking the same language. Right. We weren't always aligned in how we were going to approach those things. So that was the first major issue that I felt that we had. The second thing is we were going through a product transformation in the industry, and this won't mean much to your students, but at the time, the raw material that you make contact lenses was moving from what we call hydrogels to silicon hydrogels. And CooperVision was behind in that race. So we were just getting ready to launch our new products to catch up with the competition, and how did we communicate that both internally and externally to our customers? And then the third thing is that we had a unique marketing strategy where we didn't do any consumer advertising, we did not do any consumer marketing. And the internet and social media and these things were really bringing about a change to the contact lens industry. So we had to learn to communicate with our customers, be it the end user, those folks that wear contact lenses, the doctors that prescribe them, the retailers that sell contact lenses from a different perspective, and that being social media and how did we want to affect communication through those means. So it was really those three things, probably in that order, that when I took over as president of CooperVision, I thought, okay, we're going to have to do some things differently and bring people together and focus them on where we want to go.
Well, it looks like a menu for a perfect storm. You have organizational culture conflict, you have a technology issue, and there's confusion in the marketplace about product. So how did you decide that you're going to communicate the message differently into the organization?
Right. Well, what we decided is we knew that if we were going to project our communication, we needed a brand. We needed something that everyone in the process could focus on and be aligned on. And what we really knew is that we needed to start that from the inside, and we needed to project out. I had a great gentleman, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, named Jeff McLean, who headed up my strategy department. And he had a saying, he said, brands are built from the inside out. And that's true. So what we figured is if we could align our 7,000 employees and get them focused on what we were trying to accomplish, that then we could use as a baseline and project that out into the marketplace to our competitors. So it was credible, it was believable, and it was effective. So what we did was we put together a program and we looked at all of the different aspects and all of the different constituents that we as a company had, everything from our board of directors to our customers across the entire globe, 90 countries, but we focused on about 10 or 15 of the key countries. And we looked at what were people seeing about CooperVision either internally or externally. And we found the areas that there was alignment on. And then we built our brand around that alignment. So the key was really starting it from the inside and then projecting it in a credible way externally as well.
Yes, some of the students are majors in different areas. Operation management, finance, they may not understand the term brand.
Sure.
So can you help educate them a little bit in a corporate world what brand means?
Well, a lot of people will think of brand as the advertising brand, and I guess the easiest way is Coca-Cola has a brand, right? And everybody thinks of Coca-Cola. Matter of fact, when you order a drink, you say, I'll have a Coke, right? And that symbolizes a type of drink when actually that's only one piece of that marketplace. But a brand, the way we looked at it, is really the call to action of a company. It really is who we are, what we are trying to accomplish, and then projecting that out to the marketplace so that we could connect with our customers based on their requirements and their needs and what we could bring to them to solve those requirements and needs. So when we think of brand, it's more than just the advertising campaign. It's the sum of the spirit, the culture, the strategy, the vision of what we're trying to accomplish as an organization. And the brand really is the visualization of all that, and the brand really is how you then tie the internal to the external components.
It sounds like a brand is focused on many different stakeholders in our language and for the students to start to understand. And as a CEO, you're playing to multiple audiences. It isn't just one. So some of the stakeholders involved in branding initiative were who?
Well, it's interesting, and it's certainly been a while since I've been through the textbooks that you folks
That's probably
are
a very
using.
good thing. We don't want to confuse you.
I remember, and maybe your students can relate to this, but I remember when I was going through Marketing 101 and Business 101, there was this notion of this triangle. And on one side was the shareholder or the owner of the company, on one side was the customer, and one side was the employee or the group within the company. And there was always this notion that one was more important to the other, right? And then there was a phase where I remember we go through and the customer was always right and the customer was most important. Well, from my perspective, all those things are equal. And once you say that an investor is more important than a customer, or an employee is more important than a customer, or the customer is more important than the employee or the shareholder, you're really starting to make a mistake, and you're probably getting off point. It's a balance of all those things. Customers have requirements and needs that as a company you want to meet, and if you don't meet those needs, then you're not driving the revenue, which obviously does all the things you need to do as a company. Shareholders give you money to invest in your company, and they're expecting a fair rate of return. And if you don't give them that fair rate of return, you don't have access to the capital, and therefore you can't serve the customers. Employees are clearly your most important asset, and they're the most important thing that makes all this work. But again, they have to be subservient to customer needs and sometimes have to work within the investor worlds to make sure that the right things happen. So when you're talking about brand and bringing that back to the reality, you have those natural customers and employees and management you think of, but you have others as well. your board of directors. Obviously, they want to understand what the company's doing, and they want to make sure they're comfortable that you're doing the right things for shareholders. In our case, we had a holding company. The holding company had several divisions that reported into it. The holding company's job was to allocate resources amongst the divisions. So we had to make sure that we were always working closely with the holding company to get the funds and the resources that we need to do to execute. So all of these things come together, and you've got multiple constituents, and as you know, the hardest thing is that they're rarely aligned as to what they want and,
Exactly.
and what's important to them.
Exactly.
And that's the fun of it, and that's the challenge of it.
But when you started to create your message, we spent a lot of time in class talking about audience analysis and making sure that your message is keyed to an audience. Here, the complexity is fascinating because you have multiple audiences. Was there one primary focused audience when you started to create your message? And in a minute, we'll take a look at one of the clips that you used.
Yeah, sure. It really was the employee base.
Okay.
If you go back to those three things that we were trying to accomplish, in my view, aligning our employees as to our vision and what we were trying to accomplish was the most important of those three things. And so really, everything we did was focused around how do we align and motivate 7,000 people. And maybe we can talk a little bit about this later, because you never get all 7,000 aligned and motivated, but there's techniques you use to manage that. So that was really the focal point. But sure, we had to take things. For instance, we had some very motivational videos that we used that kind of connected on an emotional basis what we did, how we added value in the marketplace. And it's really cool. I mean, I don't know if people think about this, but you have young kids that are playing sports, soccer, or in Europe as they call it, football. And you know, they've got glasses that are slipping and sliding all over the place, and put contact lens on a 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old, and he or she can go out and play sports without being encumbered by this. That's a huge thing. You know, so there's a lot of value that we brought. So, you know, we use those things to try to shape our message to say, hey, this is really important, and people really get value out of what we do as a company, and then tie that all together. Okay, now who are we? How are we trying to approach the marketplace? So doing that for the employee was the most important thing. But you always had to take segments of that and modify it, because a motivational video, for instance, is not appropriate at the board level. You can't show a 90-minute clip about a kid seeing, you know, with contact lenses in a certain way to try and get $100 million of funding for your next manufacturing line.
Exactly.
Right? So what you did is you took pieces of the story and you put it together in different ways. Talking to the board, the holding company, much more business approach, much more numbers and cents, and what the brand was going to do from a revenue perspective and a cost savings perspective, and bringing everybody together. You know, on the flip side, to the sales and marketing team, very rah-rah, and you can use this brand and the external visualization of the brand to have great conversations with your customers.
Right. And John's made available to us clips that he used. In a second here, we're going to take a look at one of them, but there's two additionals that will provide link to the website that we're using in the class, so you can see in detail. One is the message to the troops, that's about 5 minutes long. And then the other one is the imaging on how you went about, which is really, really exciting.
Well, I know the professor's not going to like this, but I suggest you really look at that. There's a 90-second clip motivation that we use kind of at the end of our big meeting that we called, and that's a really cool video. And then there's another clip about 2 minutes long that really takes you through the essence of what we did. And then if you're really bored and you've got nothing better to do, there's a 5-minute diatribe by me explaining to employees what we're trying to accomplish. I'm not sure that you're going to get your students to watch that one, but it's got some good information in it.
Well, I think I just got a clue here. I think what we're going to do is write the test questions out of the 5-minute discourse that you're having with your employees.
Sorry, guys, I forgot how professors actually work. My apologies.
Yeah, we're actually pretty evil. Well, let's take a minute and take a look at the middle clip, which was your process on how you went about doing it.
We are CooperVision, and life has been good. We've enjoyed success, and we are proud of our journey. We are 6,000 employees in 32 countries. We've outpaced the market at 1.5 times the growth. Sounds like a lot, but the global contact lens market is $6 billion. CooperVision has 16% share. We want more. So we took a look around and noticed everyone out here looks the same. Blue, blue, sea of blue. We're different. We want to stand out. So what did we do? We went all over the world to 10 countries. We talked to our employees. They wanted to be heard. We learned our employees are committed, but that as an organization, they are hungry for alignment, and that our team knew we had to be different to break through. We talked to our wearers. We learned that around the globe, our wearers want the same things: good products and functional benefits. They want to have confidence in the brand of lenses they wear. We talked to our practitioners. We learned that they care about our products. They want quality, comfort, and a comprehensive but clear portfolio. They want a good business partner, and that's us. We're trusted. We've got a strong customer heritage we will leverage, and a global approach to doing business. We are partners. We own that territory. We're different. We're bold. We bring a refreshing perspective. We can be a leader in our category. It's our time. We'll still stay true to the brand while looking to the future, but with one voice, one set of values, one corporate positioning, and one promise. Our refreshing perspective will be clear today, tomorrow, and beyond. It's been tested, and the positive results are exciting. We are CooperVision, and our journey is just beginning.
Thanks for sharing that clip with us. I've been around long enough to know that things like this don't happen by accident. And not to in any way demean CEOs, but most CEOs don't have the technical expertise to make something this cool happen. So how did you go about putting together a team of people to create your branding image and then all of the video and imaging that went behind it?
Yeah, it was a great team that we put together. Early in my presidency at CooperVision, I determined that what we needed was an overall strategy office and somebody that could take everything that we were trying to accomplish. Remember, we're talking about being direct in 40 countries, everywhere from Japan to Germany to the UK to the US. So multiple cultures, multiple plants situated around the world, multiple needs from our customer base. Customers in Czechoslovakia are different than customers in Canada. So it occurred to me that what we really needed was someone that could come together and try and bring all of that information and put it together in an overall strategy that we could execute and get aligned behind. So there was a gentleman in the organization named Jeff McLean, a fabulous individual, a good sales and marketing background. And so I asked him to take the role as my chief strategy officer. Right. So he's the executive vice president of strategy. Mm-hmm. And underneath Jeff, then we formed a global marketing team. That team was led by a lady named Lisa Fawcett, who's a very, very good marketeer. And so what we did was we then said, all right, what's the process we need to go through to really start this internal brand and get everybody aligned? And we wanted the hooks, of course, to be able to externally take it out and use it for the social media and some of the other things that we talked about earlier. So Jeff and Lisa went out and they found an agency. Mm-hmm. And the agency, along with our management team, did a bunch of research. We, as the video shows, we interviewed internally, externally. We looked at a bunch of different things. And the agency really helped us come through and identify 3 or 4 or 5 crucial things that were true about CooperVision and were relevant and important and credible in all of the markets that we did business in. And that process was something that Jeff and Lisa led. And then we got together as a management team after getting that data, and we made some hard choices on what we wanted to project and what we wanted this brand to be. And it was not easy because in contact lenses, for instance, quality is the most important thing. Sure. And I'm proud to say that CooperVision's lenses have the highest quality. We'll take them up against any of the competitors, and we've just got great quality lenses. The problem is that we were running up against large companies like Johnson & Johnson. And Johnson & Johnson has this brand that is tied to quality on a global basis. And so there's no way that CooperVision is going to spend enough money in advertising to break through. But what we did find was that what the spot that we owned was that we were very approachable, and that we were easy to do business with, and people liked doing business with. So what we did in this brand, in this process, is then we de-emphasized some things, re-emphasized things that made sense for our company, and that gave us a huge win in the marketplace. So that was the process we went through: collect the data, both internally, externally, debate it many, many times, push it around, come to conclusion on what we wanted to do, get alignment with the senior executive team, buy-in from the board and the holding company, of course, and then come back and drive that through communication and get those 7,000 employees aligned.
What I find intriguing about this is you used a process that was market-focused and measuring you against the market, but you did it in a team format. And that's one of the messages we're trying to get out today in our classes is the world is so complex today that it's almost impossible for a single person to have the bandwidth to deal with these kind of issues.
Absolutely.
So this is a multi-leg team that went into it. But it also sounds like you then translated this into your internal value set. Am I hearing that correctly?
We did. In this process, we said from customers, what's important about CooperVision, what do you like, what don't you like, and who is CooperVision? And then we asked employees, who are we? And what are the values that are important to you? And we looked at those two things, and then we matched them, and then we reinforced that through the brand because we believe that that was our competitive advantage. Not that quality of contact lenses is not important, you have to do that.
That's a given. Yeah.
That's a given.
Right.
But we're more approachable than our competitors, so let's capitalize on that and make that happen. It was interesting. You never get 100% buy-in into anything, right? And that's part of the fun of this and the challenge is you have to get enough to get it over the hump because you're never going to get 100%. Right. I remember one particular value that came out very clearly from the research, both internally from employees and externally from our customers, and they said, you're an approachable company, you're almost a friendly company. And I remember sitting down with our senior management team, and rightfully so, there were several executives on my team who said, well, wait a minute, this is a business, John.
We don't sell teddy bears.
Friendly,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, right.
I mean, we're out to make money here.
Right.
I mean, what are you talking about? And I said, yeah, that's true, but how do you go about it? Do we go about it and interact with our customers as a big corporation? Or are we really Fred and Harry and Lisa and James going out and having conversations, a group of people that happen to work for CooperVision, and we deliver this product and service to our customers? So in the end, I was proud to say that I kept friendly in as one of our values.
Right.
But that's a good example of something that you would not think, from a business perspective, that would be a core value. And that value of friendly then translated through the organization. And I'll just take a 1 second to give you an example of how you have to manage this. So many people thought friendly was, okay, we do anything we want. We don't have to show up for work on time. We take 2-hour lunches, and that's not it at all.
Right.
But friendly is when we had to take disciplinary action with an employee, we did it in a friendly way, in a way with compassion. Right. When we dealt with customers, either from a positive side or a not so positive side, which happens from time to time, we did it in a friendly way.
Yeah, and what I found intriguing is I had the opportunity to visit with some folks in your organizations globally, and that migrated extremely well all the way from Turkey to Beijing. I mean, it was intriguing how that.
It did, and parts of the brand played well in certain areas more than others. Right. But the one thing that I do agree, this friendly concept, it was just unique, and people grabbed onto it, and they had a lot of fun with it. But it really was the heart and soul of what we're trying to do. And again, for those of you who are really linking it back to the business aspects, it linked back to approachability, and it linked back to being easy to do business with, and customers want to do business with us because we were that type of an organization versus a stuffy corporate organization that doesn't want to talk to you.
A bunch of suits, right?
A bunch of suits, yeah.
What tools did you use to communicate this message to 7,000 people? You have a really nice video imaging, but then how did you actually get that out into your channels of distribution, if you will?
Yeah, we brought, I think it was about 130 people, but what I call the top 100 executives, managers, leaders from across the world into San Francisco. We did a 3-day meeting where we took them through all the research, we took them through why we were making the decisions we were taking, we got their support,
Right.
and then we spent a good day and a half training them on what the brand meant, and how to roll that out to their parts of the organization.
Right.
We also gave them a toolkit, so there was our internal website, our intranet, if you will. We put all the videos on there. We put all of the research on there in a very easy way to look at. Right. We did things like you could ask questions, and our core strategy group would get back to you on what the brand meant, what we were trying to do. We published all of, for the external marketing, the guidelines of how we wanted the brand to look, you know, and exactly what you could and couldn't do with that external look and feel of the brand. And then, you know, we did other fun things, like we had a wall on our internal website where people could submit other people on the basis of were they doing something that was unique to the values.
Right.
So somebody was, you know, dedication was one of the values, and you know, if there was somebody that really went over the top, you could submit a name, it was reviewed by folks, and then it made what we call our wall of fame, where you know, you could see behavior that was meant to reinforce the brand. So a broad spectrum of things all kind of tied together.
You know, one of the things that popped into my head as we were chatting is you really were driving transparency in the organization, that this is who we are, this is what we stand for, this is, as a CEO, what I stand for.
Yeah.
What was the impact of your initiative?
Well, you know, the transparency was interesting, and I think a lot of people really bought into that. But there were some that didn't, and there were some that really didn't embrace the brand and that transparency. And we did all the right things there, coach and counsel. But you know, not everybody wanted to be part of that organization, and so we helped them find you know, organizations maybe that they wanted to be part of. But I think overall, the overall impact of the brand was it did align most people to who we were. And it did, we were able to then build the external brand projection from a solid base. And I believe in the end, as we rolled out those new silicone hydrogel products, as we became more active in social media and we reached out to the end users a bit more to make them more familiar with CooperVision, it all tied together and it had that solid foundation. So in the end, I think we did a very nice job of increasing revenue. We had a 6-year run of double-digit growth, both on the top line and the bottom line. And I think that it was very effective in driving the business.
Excellent. Well, you had a very good experience. You're about to head into a new venture.
Yeah.
What did you learn from this activity that you think you'll carry into your new venture?
You know, probably that everything I did at the old one won't work at the new one. And I think that's a great message for your students too, because you know, a lot of times students read textbooks or they listen to somebody like you or me, and they take away the specifics of what we're saying and they try and deploy that somewhere else. And the reality of it is that's not what we want you to do as a student, right? What we want you to do is listen to a bunch of people and realize that for every situation there's several things that can work and several things that won't work. And then the key to running a good organization, be it a profit one or a nonprofit one, is then selecting the right things, the right levers that are right for you, being credible, being a credible leader that people believe in, and then assessing the situation both externally and internally, and picking the right things to drive the results that you want to drive. So you know, I think this experience at CooperVision was a great experience, and it certainly put you know, some more tools in my tool belt to deal with whatever I face at my new role. But yeah, we'll see how much of it actually carries over.
Well, thank you for bringing tools into my class today.
My
John,
pleasure,
really
Jerry.
appreciate it.
It's good
Thank
seeing you again.
All right, bye-bye.